from a media perspective, I enjoyed listening to more of a conservative slant because I'm from the Chapel Hill area. Anyone ever hear of Chapel Hill? Well, Jesse Helms, the former United States Senator of North Carolina, once said about 30 years ago that we ought to build a fence around Chapel Hill. And as a conservative, I now often say we probably should have, because it spread like the plague, liberalism, all over the triangle, to where they're now in a once family valued bedroom community, smart growthing us to death. And so what I want to talk about is a few things. And I thought I was coming here to talk about grassroots efforts, and I actually learned a lot this morning. So what I want to do is I want to tie in how you work with elected officials, not for them, not against them, with them. And I'll explain a little bit more in a minute, but what is your role as a grassroots activist to influence? And I'll start out by saying I'm a plumber. And my wife usually says, why don't you elaborate on that? And most people say you don't have to, because if you're a politician or plumber, we know what you deal with all the time. And, but I'm a plumbing consultant now, and I'm a textbook author for the plumbing industry, and I'm a plumbing instructor. I teach at the Pentagon. In fact, when they were rebuilding up September 11th, that was my classroom. I was walking the government inspectors around, teaching them about how to better inspect, and then I teach them how to solder and braze. I just got back from Orange County, and Los Angeles in particular, I guess Torrance, that area there. And I was born in Northridge, and I'd never been there other than being born there. So I went back, and I said, and when I was flying in, I remember calling Kathy Heath, who's within your ranks. I said, wow, I used to like grid systems being raised outside of Boston and all that. I was just normal, take a quick shortcut. And when you're flying over that area, I guess it's Los Angeles, but whatever, it looks like them slide presentations we saw in the PowerPoint presentation, and it's nasty. And then you get on the ground, and I got on the internet, and I was renting a car, I found my driving instructions. It said, yeah, 16 miles, hour and 20 minutes. Wait a minute. And so I get on the highway, Mr. Early, me, I try to get there early, and which I did, but I had to leave 2 hours early. And so knowing me, I found a bunch of shortcuts and said, I'm going to save some time. It took me longer because of all the traffic lights and speed controls. But anyways, this little presentation, I'm a bullet point kind of guy, not a paragraph kind of guy. What does that mean to you if you're dealing with me? Here, I did not write one paragraph. I have only read one novel in my life, and I write textbooks. Textbooks is a technical writing style. It's facts. This public school system doesn't want my opinion on plumbing. They want me to spit out the facts. And when I'm a city councilor, I don't want all opinions. I have no problem with my opinion or your opinion so long as it's based on facts. Well, here comes the average citizen. We have what's called public speaks out. It's a podium. Citizens come. It is probably the most grueling part of a city council meeting, not from my perspective, because a lot of times it's humorous and it makes the meeting fun for me, because some of the people that come up there, you don't know if, luckily there's police officers there, and not so much in Cary, but the Board of Education meetings get very heated. But who are these people coming up? They were me before elected. I got up there and I pointed at my opponent and I said, I'm coming to get you a job. At a public speaks out. I will oust you from office. And we did. Notice I didn't say I did. Well, how can someone like myself, that was an angry grassroots activist that had no problem spilling my opinion and threatening to oust you from office, be effective when I get elected? Because all of his buddies are still on that governing board. How I became effective was, one, listen to my wife, meaning shut up, honest. Two, prefacing my comments, because I'm a bullet point guy. I just want to spit out the facts. No, you got to preface this stuff. And then the most effective was you, not me. I use citizens to represent themselves, because I am a very disliked man, because I am confrontational. I'm blue collar in a white collar town. I will ask you in public, if you're a colleague of mine, and you start just oozing all this junk, that's an opinion. And I will just simply say, I have one question for you. and the cameras are rolling, citizens are watching, the media's there. I said, is that a fact or an opinion? I didn't have to say anything but that. And they just go through the roof. And Mrs. Heath sits out in the audience or at home or whatever, and she just shakes her head or chuckles or whatever. But a man of few words or a woman of few words can often be more effective than some windbag. And I have in the ranks, and I should say I'm outgoing. In 2 weeks they're going to be make my appointment. I resigned in July. But she would not be quiet. She didn't know where to even start or stop anymore. She would go around in circles within her own mind. She would have to look at notes to see what the even topic she was discussing. So she, like an activist that talks too much, renders herself almost ineffective because people get tired of listening to her. She may be right on target, but she just went all over the place. Concise message. We heard that earlier this morning. So the first thing on my bullet point is art of negotiation. I had no idea that in 1980, I guess 6, I was being promoted from the ranks of plumber to foreman in a big company in Mississippi. I was living down there at the time. And they brought in us young, wild construction guys from the ditches, and they said, sit down, we got a seminar for you. And they brought in a consultant. He says, I'm going to teach you how to negotiate on a job site, whether it's a change order, how to deal with the architect, how to deal with the owner, how to deal with your employees. But either way, it's all about negotiating. And I said, oh, this is ridiculous, man. Just teach me blueprint reading or drafting or something. Just teach me about something, but this is useless. And that was my opinion going in. I loved it. Spent a week. Never would I have expected that becomes part of my successful marriage at 26 years. That becomes part of politics, huge, every day. So what they taught me, and I'll keep it real brief at that, the negotiating, is what do you want? What are you trying to negotiate for? You can throw down 50 items and say, I want them all. Well, you're unrealistic. So how do you get what you want? Believe it or not, you don't throw what you want on the table first. You throw some sacrificial items on the table. Well, what are you talking about? Well, it depends what we're talking about. You're talking about land use, you're talking about annexation, you're talking about a particular development, you're talking about density, you're talking about traffic. And what we call NIMBYs, not in my backyard, I'm a NIMBY. I protest a thing in my backyard, not to block them because it's your property, but just how you were going to develop. So the NIMBY list is long, isn't it? It's stormwater, it's traffic, it's school, legitimate items that have been hijacked and overused. So what do you want out of the negotiation? Do not throw that on the table first unless it's the only item. And stand firm to that. But at the same time, let the politician have small senses of victory. Now I say politician because I can't stand when someone calls me a politician. I'm an elected official. And why I say that is my campaign, I'm leaving office, my campaign owes me $8,000 and I could have probably raised 50, but I wouldn't take a cup of coffee because I'm an elected official. I promised I'd be honest, I promised I'd be ethical, and to me, that cup of coffee was not buying me, it was just this sense of cheapness when I laid my head on my pillow at night. So I guess I'm rare, but nonetheless, I'm a plumber that got elected, but I'm an activist through and through. But now how do I get anything done when 6 of the 7, me being number 7, don't even want me there? The small senses of victory. I'm going to use annexation. For those who don't live in a state like North Carolina, I think there's 4 or 5 states that just allows municipalities just to grow. You can be in a rural area, you're under assault. We don't care. We're government, and you are now a city taxpayer. And you are now paying, you're using our trash collection, whether you like it or not. Well, Kathy Heath, fortunately for me, was there to educate me. Now, I'm the elected official. I'm supposed to know everything, right? I went there for one message, and one message only. Give me the budget. Stop wasting our money. I'm a taxpayer advocate. I only want to do this. Wouldn't it be nice, huh? Well, all of a sudden, this thing called land use started coming up, and I'm like, land what? Yeah, stay off my land. That was good enough, right? The New Hampshire, live free or die. 90% of what I had to deal with had everything to do with rezoning, the property rights issue in a city is like, don't put that speed bump in front of my yard. You're destroying my property rights. And then you, in an area such as the Raleigh-Durham area that is growing leaps and bounds, the rural area is under assault. You have activists like Kathy Heath, fortunately, is a research nut, because I'm getting 100 emails a day. At the time, before I even took office, we were ready to annex 3,500 people over a border war between two cities. And in the middle was rural North Carolina, Kathy Heath being one of them. And so the activists started Stop Cary, Cary meaning the town, then it moved into Stop North Carolina Annexation. Politicians feared it, but politicians had to respect it, because there was heat. There was, you annex them and they're voters. You are now creating 3,500 voters where only 10,000 votes wins an election in that town. You're nuts. So Kathy used me, and I used her and all her allies, 1, for education, 2, for clout, 3, to let them win. I don't want the sense of victory. Now realize in the city mindset is, we're better than you because we have sewer. You're polluting the environment with your septic tank. We have better drinking water. We have all this stuff. It's almost like this elitist attitude amongst normal people, because they're brainwashed to think you're in the rural area, you're using our roads, but you're not paying our taxes. This is the mindset. So I know educating myself and being educated is that the way to stop annexation in North Carolina, the number one, remember, negotiated, taxation. The town of Cary had allocated $16 million of the taxpayers' money to provide water and sewer, upgrade the roads, all this. None of that was coming out because the activists rightly were saying, stay away, we don't want all this, you're violating our property rights. But that doesn't resonate with the city folk. City folks saying, you're using our roads. You stay off our roads, you're using our parks, like it's theirs, which it is in a sense, but $16 million to the Cary taxpayer is 16 cents on the tax bill. And not to get belabored on that, but basically every penny we charge per $100 valuation raises $1 million. So that's 16 cents is where that relates to. Well, we were ready to raise taxes. Well, wait a minute, just stop the annexation, take that 16 million bucks, don't borrow it one or put it back into kitty, and we don't have to raise taxes. That started to resonate within the politicians behind the scenes, and annexation, that did happen. It's not under threat like it was, and it is. Now we have an annexation plan, still gonna happen, over 20 years. So where's the sense of victory? They're still gonna annex, that was lost. There's a lot of sense of victories. One, they backed off. Two, they can't afford it because I blocked a lot of funding, borrowing of money. If government can't borrow the money and they don't have the cash, they can't annex. So there's so many obstacles you can put in the way because it's the art of negotiation. One other thing on annexation is the rural poor, and I was raised in the projects, don't think I'm some rich boy coming up here saying that. I'm not a rich man myself standing here right now, but the rural poor were going to be assessed up to from $6,000 to $16,000. These are people that have lived there. They're living in mobile homes or nice, modest ranch homes. And here comes a rich community of Cary, 80-something% graduates from college, going out to the rural poor who, remember, the rich elitists want to have affordable housing for all these rural, for these city poor, but they're stomping on the rights of the rural poor. So the League of Municipalities in North Carolina was they're blocking anything to do with annexation. They try to block it, and they're successful. There was one that Kathy brought up to me, was saying that, you know, one legislator was trying to push a 25-year payment of the assessed value and for the poor. And the League of Municipalities said, no, it's going to cost the cities too much money. And I said, Kathy, why don't we try to get that into this annexation program that's working its way? The annexation plan is going to pass. That's a losing battle. But what can we do as a little jab in there to make it more expensive to annex and to take care of the poor? It is now the first city in the state, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy, but as I know, the first large city in the state that now has written into their plan that a rural poor person, when they get assessed by government, has the right to have a 25-year payment, like a mortgage. And the politicians, What were they going to say? If you paint it like you're going to hurt the poor, you're going to kill the children, you're going to pollute the environment. The politicians are stuck. And it's ironic because I said I don't read journals, but I read a lot. And I write, chapter a week. My third book's coming out, and I don't envy you having to do it every day because this is my third book in 4 years. But I read a lot of wise words and quotes. Probably have about 10 or 15 of these books. Adaptability is the subject. Most people are willing to adapt not because they see the light, because they feel the heat. That is so true. And with me, things are black and white. Technical. Remember the bullet point guy? Black and white. Your toilet's stopped up, I know how to fix it. Black and white. It's a faucet. Is it a kitchen faucet or a bathroom faucet? And that's how simple of a man I am. But when I'm faced with a decision, they're not black and white. They're not multiple choice questions, A, B, C, or none of the above. And a good example is I stormed into the Chamber of Commerce last year, 12 years membership, and I just blasted them because they're not protecting the small business person. And the president, Mr. Diplomat and stuff like that, I refuse to even walk in that building anymore. And hearing this morning about the Chamber of Commerce now, what's happening within them is so true, but I don't want any part of it. Well, that's the wrong approach I could have taken and did take, because one of the top items on my list is to infiltrate and influence. I got elected. I infiltrated City Hall. I influenced, and I'm leaving before my term's up. Not a good idea, but I have a small business I have to provide and some food on the table. But what I suggest to you working with your elected officials, believe it or not, is to infiltrate who the power brokers are in a town. Chamber of Commerce, business organizations, environmental organizations. You don't go in there and you don't storm in there. You go in there and you sit and listen like you are now. And even if you don't agree with me right now, what I'm saying is you're listening, and now you get to combat me. Whether it's talking amongst each other, getting on a board within the Chamber of Commerce. There's so many things that you can do to influence elected official by being passive. If you think you're going to come up to someone like me and combat me, I'm going to give you a high five because I'm a combative type person. I will respect that. But you get the more passive elected official, and you turn them off. And not just that, they don't want anything to do with you. They see your emails, they delete them. They see your op-ed or letter to the editor, and they discount it and probably don't even read it. So moving down my list right here, who are you negotiating with? What little do you know about me right now? I'm a plumber. I'm a hardhead. I'm a conservative. I'm married. What else do you know about me? Not much. But if you looked at my bio, do you really think I'm going to show the public everything about how Mike Joyce works? No, because I'm not going to show you my cards. Yes, you're going to see I'm a Republican. Yes, you're going to see I'm married, a plumber, all these things. I'm going to let you know what I want you to know. You're not going to know that I fly fish on the weekends. You're not going to know that when I get out of this suit, I wear flip-flops down at the beach. And not that I'm asking you to know that about your elected officials, but what makes them tick? Principles. Probably, if they're a liberal or a conservative, they probably have a lot of principles. The moderates, a fish out of water. Those are the ones you really have to watch out for. I'm probably more libertarian than I am Republican, but libertarians don't win elections. But at the same time, adaptability, back to here, is you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to take your hat off, no different than when I take this suit off and I jump in my flip-flops. I've just adapted myself. What role am I at any given time? What role am I coming here? My role here is to come and say to you, you are the power. And you hear that all the time, but it's true. But the selfish elected official that walks around like they have power are everywhere. It's amazing. When you get into these closed sessions, and I'm on TV, and I actually wear the makeup and all that stuff, and a plumber doing that. But I get behind the doors closed, and you would not believe the change in these elected officials. Because when on TV and they're campaigning, they're all pretty and nice. They get back there, they say, I don't care, take their land. It's a greenway. We have to have bike trails. And I mean, but they would never say that on TV. So then that's where the power of me being behind closed doors, because I jump on them. And I got 2 minutes left, so let me go down here. Yeah, doesn't hurt my feelings. All right, asset or liability. I remember my campaign manager, my hairdresser's a real wild lady, super sweet, just not politically active or anything like that, but she's just real opinionated and funky, the hair and all that kind of stuff. And my campaign manager came up and says, is she an asset or a liability? And you have to ask that. And she was an asset because beauty shops, you know. And but either way, you have to ask yourself, anytime you ask someone to join a little effort, are they an asset or liability? Are they better to research, or are they better to be a spokesmodel? What is your role? Ask yourself, am I an asset or liability to this cause? And the words you use, or choose to use, or choose not to use, sometimes will put you in a category of asset or liability. It could be on a given issue, it could be on the total scope of an effort to fight. Keep your issues on the front burner. They're gonna go away. We just had a 8 million gallon sewage spill. We had flooding going on, all this stuff. And lawsuits come in all the time in the government. And what priorities do I have as a part-time legislator? And then I got this major issue of annexation that's just there, and it needs to be there, and we need to keep moving, but boom, I just got sidetracked. 100 emails a day, voicemails like crazy, small business, wife, all this, you know, great things going on, but I'm a part-timer. Be an opportunist when you see something happening across town, another city, say, see, it's not just my town, it's everywhere. This is like the plague. This is happening, we're destroying. Take that opportunity. It could be in Arizona, or you're in Chicago, it doesn't matter. Facts can be disputed, but they cannot be denied. I have been saying that all my life. It doesn't work in politics. Remember, feel the heat? They're going to deny facts because their agenda doesn't want to hear the facts. They can be disputed, and they will, but they cannot be denied. So keep putting the facts up there. Keep putting them on the front burner. Share your facts with other people. Be nice about how you portray your facts. Solutions. We can throw out all kinds of facts, but lead them to a solution. Give that part-time legislator a way to go. Give them several solutions. If they say no to one, maybe they're seeing something from the inside that you don't see. Maybe they see that effort's going to fail. So now let's twist that solution. But being solution-based is crucial when you're dealing with an elected official. Kathy Heath has been my data person since day one, and it's unbelievable how valuable that's been to me. But I don't read paragraphs, I read bullet points. So you'd have to deal with me with even the subject line getting my attention. So, and you had touched on that, keeping it short. So, Kathy and Randall, I'll echo what one participant said. Thank you very much. We got to keep up the fight. You know, this is so important. And hopefully maybe next year you can have it in North Carolina. Thank you very much.